I will turn the meeting over to our city manager, Tom Darty.
Thank you, Mayor, Board. I want to start out by saying that our budget is revenue driven. So, basically the services that the city can provide is based on how much revenue the city brings in. And it's finance 101. We always want to spend less than we bring in, or get close to the break-even point. I wanted to start out with looking at three revenues. Am I too close?
No, sounds
Okay.
good.
Is this being broadcast live?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it is.
Well, I know they're always recorded, but I didn't know if it was live.
I think it is. Bree, is it recording live?
Yes.
There's a sheet up there with you at the top of the page. It says sales taxes. I want to just let some of this soak in and just kind of go over it. These are our three largest revenues for general fund revenue. We have a sales tax, which is two revenues. We have a local option, which is everything that runs through the tills in Fairview, Tennessee. It is received monthly. It's on a delayed basis. We receive it 60 days post the receipt. So if it goes through the tills, we can expect to see the revenue in 60 days after. So just for an example, you expect during the holidays, December sales taxes will be up. You'll see those revenues in March. Then the next line over is state shared. This comes from the state. It's also on a monthly basis, and it is per capita the sales tax across the state of Tennessee. It's just shared with the municipalities. If you look at these, going back to fiscal year 2021, 2022, 2023, really healthy increases in the sales tax revenue. And if you look at 24 and 25, it's kind of leveled off. So we're looking at this year to kind of tap the brakes, have a maintained year. We anticipate that revenues will spike again, but we're not going to base a budget on what we think. We're going to base a budget on what we actually have. So this kind of shows kind of where it is leveling off, and like I said, we do anticipate another spike, but we're going to go with the numbers that we have. And we started making some adjustments with the amended budget this past year. If you look down at the property tax revenue, you can see that the last rate increase was in fiscal year 2022. But if you look at the ones, we've been averaging for closer to 5%. So that's a pretty good indicator of the growth. It's been very steady. I don't anticipate this going down. I anticipate it going up minimally. Usually once somebody is in a new property, it usually takes at least a year before you see any property tax revenue from that. But these three revenues are 70% of the general fund monies that we use to operate the city. So I just thought this would be beneficial just to kind of, I watch these very closely. Another revenue that we are watching very closely, do all of y'all, let me tell you what page to go to in your packet. Let's go to page 1 of the spreadsheets on revenue. Well, we have building permit fees are at are record highs right now, and I anticipate them going up even more. But we've got that divided. If you see building permit revenue, we're anticipating at $848,000 in the general fund operating revenue. This revenue is split up. The residential building permits are split up in 3 ways. 42% goes to the general fund operating, 42% goes to the facilities account, and 16% goes to the park account. So whenever you start looking at the park and this, so some of these revenues are all from building permits, but they come they're divided up in that manner. I wanted to spend tonight giving a little bit of history, telling you a little bit of the process, and then we'll go over public safety and administration budgets tonight. But I just want to tell you that we start pretty early budgeting. We watch revenues year round. I like to look at actual revenues versus budgeted revenues and see where we are. I look at that every month, and so you can just kind of see what's going on. And a lot of times you might miss legislation. You'll see some negative numbers. I was not aware that Governor Lee took out some of our revenue money in the excise taxes, and so you Google it real quick, and yeah, in May of last year he signed it. So so that's some of the things you can't really account for. You can't be on top of everything, but at least we make that adjustment, and we won't do that budget that revenue next year. But if there's any, once I get through with my spiel on the process, if there's any questions on revenues, I'd be more than willing to ask that. I want to give most of the time to the departmental budgets. But we start out, and all the department heads give me what we call a wish list. If money were, how's it going? If money were not an object, what do we do? And so when I got those wish lists back, we were in the red about $1.2 million. And so I start whittling, and we meet again. So we've already met once at this point. Then we'll start doing some. I said, what can I needed to make some adjustments. And then we get together again, and then we finally come up with what works for everybody. So that's the document that's in front of you tonight. So it's usually a lot of hours go in, and then a lot of dialogue back and forth on, well, we got to have this. We can maybe push this till the next year. So just keep that in mind. I will open up now for questions on revenue, if anybody has any. And after that, we'll just jump into the police department budget, if that's okay with everyone. Vice Mayor McDonald, to get you caught up, this is our 3 largest revenues. This sheet that's on here, and it's we're labeling this as a maintain year. Kind of tap the brakes, watch what revenue does. So as you see on the sales tax, how we had in fiscal year 20 through 22 double-digit increases, and then it's kind of leveled off at the top. So we're just going to watch that. We anticipate it's a spike, but we think it's time to just kind of just let it, just to maintain this year and watch and see what that does. The property taxes have been at a 4 to 5% increased steadily for the last several years. But anyway, that pretty much gets you up to speed on that. If there are no questions on revenue, we'll jump into, has everybody had a chance to look at the budget? The police department, that's what I was gonna go to first. And we can do it however you want to. The way I plan on doing it is just let you ask questions, and we try to give you the answer. The department heads are here. So if I don't have a adequate answer, hopefully they can give you a little more insight. We have no hires in this year's budget, so this is just maintaining. We have 1% COLA, and then employees 3% on steps.
So 1% COLA for whom?
That's for grades 1 through, I believe it's 16. Let me make sure I didn't misspeak. Grades 1 through 15. I'm sorry.
And grades 1 through 15 are higher paid in the police department?
The way I've got it,
Higher ranking, I should say.
the higher the grade, the higher the responsibility. So I think the lowest grade in the police department is a grade 8, which is a brand new police officer. And then you go up from there. So, you know, a captain will be higher, a police chief will be higher. Most of the grades that did not get a COLA are higher up management, like department heads, and they select. What our goal is to stay competitive with our salaries. I feel like our salaries are pretty competitive on the upper end, but I wanted to create a mechanism where I could make sure we're still keeping some traction with our entry-level positions, competitively with other municipalities.
So traffic, they got 3%. Like our officers who are on the street, no?
Let's go over this pay plan later. Let's go. I don't have it. I had not planned on going over the pay plan.
Oh, when you said 1 and 3%, I was just,
Sure.
I'm just saying when I hear 1%, that's not a lot. So I'm just kind of wanting to understand.
No, the annual step is always submitted in the budget for a step raise, and that is at 3% of those steps to that, and that would be across the board for all employees. The 1% COLA adjustment will be for people below captain's rank. So captains and above in the administration would not get a COLA adjustment in their raise. They would stay at just a step. So the lower ranks, the patrol officers up to a captain, would receive a COLA adjustment, which is 1 more %. But no one above
one
that
more percent.
would
Okay.
receive anything but a step raise.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Let's, any other questions on this? Let's get through these 3 departmental budgets, and then if we have time, I'm fine to jump into the pay plan. My main thing is I want to make sure, these 3 departments make up 76% of the budget. So I wanted to make sure we went through those. And then if you know, I'm fine with talking about the pay plan. It's pretty basic. I just wanted a little flexibility, whereas if there was a COLA, we could kind of drill down and, you know, we want to increase our new entry folks. We're you know, where we're not top heavy on our salaries.
I would like to come back to the pay plan conversation for sure. I've got some questions.
Yes, and if hopefully we can tonight, and if not, we definitely will Thursday. No issues or questions on the police budget?
Tom, are we not hiring any additional police officers for the year of 25, 26?
Nothing in the plans as of this right now. If for some reason a landfall of revenue falls on our lap, I will keep an open mind down the road. But as of right now, I can't. We don't have the funds. Thank you.
Chief, do you feel like you're staffed well? Please.
As city manager stated, when we went into the year, we had to look at revenue, and we had a wish list. I did have an additional personnel on the amendment, in February. Pulled that back because revenue, we had it again this time, and Tom asked the department heads, we're at a $1.3 million deficit. Please find places you could do that. We did that by pulling that back. I sat down with the patrol captain and said, can you sustain the staffing you have? He can do that right now. It is something we want and need in the future, but we're willing to give that back now. You see that we made some adjustments, and our operating budget is 6% less than last year's. Our drug fund operation is 34% less. So we made some cuts. We did that with data and information, and sat down with my whole team, all the captains, and we feel like the budget is a workable budget. But yes, in the future, we do need to address going back to the staffing, but for now, we're okay.
So you need two? Is that what you're?
Only one.
One? Okay. How many officers do you have right now?
Myself and 29, that was started to be 31, which was the goal to provide 7 and 7 on each patrol shift. As it stands, we'll have 7, 7, and 6. Midnights is a little slower volume in traffic, so we're that shift will be at 6, and it's something that we sit down and we can sustain at that right now, but in the future, we want to readdress when the time comes and revenue matches that.
What else did you have to cut to accommodate for?
Cars. I cut out my fleet completely. We had a fleet management plan, which was largely wanted to move it into an operational thing instead of a capital thing, where yearly we knew we're putting those cars on. We're okay right now. We can work through that management plan. One of the things when Stuart got back on the board, he met me in the back and said, what can I do for you? We need a few things, facilities, good pay scale, stay on, and he said, let's try to get you 12 cars. Well, I don't want 12 cars. And one would think that's crazy to ask for, but 12 cars wear out at the same time, and you got about 12 more cars. So we were at a 3 to 4 car per year rotation in that fleet, but we're okay. We can sustain for a little bit and manage through that. We're hoping that if revenue does pick up, that we can readdress that in an amendment. But for now, we are certain that we can work through that. So we did remove cars from this budget.
Y'all do such a great job with the LISO program. Is there money from LISO? Can that buy cars?
We are having more LISO sales right now. You did see the first quarter. I'll actually report again in the second quarter. We'll have some LISO sales. But as it's always been, that LISO money just goes into the general fund. And it's been the practice of the previous city manager and this one to put those cars in the budget because I've put that money in. But we do understand that we had to make some concessions this year to match that, and we're willing to do that, and we're content with this budget as it stands, and know that we did make some concessions in that, and it's okay right now. We'll get through it.
Well, I appreciate everything y'all do to
Thank you.
work with the LISO program to bring in extra
Yeah.
revenue.
We should have a report the second quarter of some more sales, and we're moving through some stuff we have to create some revenue on that, so.
And just to piggyback on that as well, we're not shutting down hiring forever, anything like that. But I will say, when things were coming in well, we were very aggressive. We hired in 22 new people in the last 2 years. So,
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of expense there. So,
Right.
unless the revenue matches the pace of your expenditures or your expenses, you just kind of got to go with the way the revenue is moving. Good thing is, it's still moving forward. The pace is just not where we thought it would be, and we feel like it's time to tap the brakes just a little bit. But and if it just takes off like we think it probably will, then yes, there are other needs, there are other services that we definitely would like to provide. Thank
And
you.
understand, as a department head, this budget represents a healthy working budget. It doesn't represent a progressive budget to accomplish some of the goals we've had. And you're going to experience that through the cycle of government. There's been times 6-7 years ago we had none of this budget, and we've moved forward. It's gotten healthier, and we've applied those revenues to things that we need in a progressive plan. And you're going to have moments where you have to hit the pause button a little bit, and that's okay too. We can work through that, and we'll see that revenue increase. And of course, we'll come back then and ask for those things that get us back on a progressive scale of things.
I know
It's not
that
today.
I know that 2 years ago, the board, we did a healthy increase, and which promoted a lot of really good quality officers
Right.
coming into our city. So I'm glad that we were able to do that, and I know that in October, we're probably going to see, where we're at property
And I
tax
think
wise. So.
Tom can echo this. The city's not in dire straits. The city's in good shape. We're in really good shape. It's just all the departments that have been riding a wave of a very progressive plan to move forward and solve problems and provide, and that just it's had a little downturn in that based upon evaluating that against our progressive plans, and we're rest assured that it will come back and we'll address those things and move forward with them. So.
I do have one question, just looking at this a little bit more closely on page 13. It's computer equipment and software. It's a big jump on the amount. Goes up, I think, $23,500 from current fiscal to next year. Will you explain that for us?
Yes, I
please?
will. That is matched with a revenue line against it, which is a grant. We're applying for a THSO grant for equipment, and with that, we have to expend the funds out of some line item. So we attach it to that, which we're trying to go to the electronic citation e-sites. They'll have a printer in the car and do all that stuff in the car. And you'll get a more legible ticket, which that's always an issue with pressing through 3 copies and my officer's writing. We often get the complaint that I couldn't see my ticket, the e-site system, but we've matched that with a grant. So that revenue will match that expenditure.
Great, thanks so much.
Yeah.
Chief,
Yes, sir.
how many new vehicles have we put on the road in the past year?
We did them in cycles. I can give you that hard number. It's probably been 6, I'd say. You lose a little track of that because there's such a lag time in getting those vehicles on the road. Used to get one on the road in 6 weeks, completely outfitted. After COVID and supply chain, it got to where you couldn't get the car for 5 months. You got the car in 5 months, you got the graphics and stuff on it in 3 or 4 weeks, and it was on the road in 6 months. That has now shifted. They buy the cars up and set them on the lot. Now they're available to all departments. They're buying them up, and the upfitters are behind 5 months. So no way possible that we were able to get those cars on the road. So they've had such a lag time of us purchasing them. We would purchase them in a previous budget, and they wouldn't materialize on the road till the next budget. So I can get you a hard exact number if you're looking at a fiscal year, probably around 6 to 7 cars. But that's it crosses over multiple budgets because the supply chain is just. I don't have that number for you today, but I can get that if you'd like.
Right, thank you.
Your firearms equipment decreased $8,000. Is that firearms that you, just like
It
cars?
was equipment. This year we had a goal to equip our patrol rifles with red dot sighting systems. We put that in the budget. We've satisfied that. They have the longevity that will last some time. We removed that back out of the budget. There's no need to account for those dollars that we're not going to spend anymore.
One more question.
Yes, sir.
Under radios,
Yes.
line item 368, we're at $16,000. How often do we purchase new radios? Or is that for repair? We have this
We
separate,
have a radio repair line item.
there's a separate line item for that.
Yes. We put that in. This number will scare people. Used to, you could put a radio on for $700-800. A patrol radio in a car and a handheld is about $7,000 a piece. Not really the radio, it's a software package that goes in it. And not our choice. Williamson County decided, and Franklin and Brentwood decided what that software package would be. For us to connect to their towers and use their system, we have to be in compliance. It cost us $500,000 for the city to buy in, for myself and the fire chief, into that system, and we didn't pay any of the infrastructure. That was just to buy the radios. So if you have, and a lot of those radios are going out of warranty. We've had multiple this past year that the bench fee to repair was $600. That is going to $1,000 per radio to repair. We've got that in there for 2 radios. Should something go out and the radio cannot be repaired, we've anticipated we could purchase 2. But we have had the conversations that somewhere in the near future, the city's going to have to address what is our next step plan for replacing those radios, because they have a life expectancy on it and they're going to wear out. And we're starting to see that with some bench repairs.
And what do we do with the old radios?
That
Are they garbage, or do we sell them to other cities?
I would
elsewhere
hope we could sell those, and there'd be
Yeah.
an agency that, that's the hopes, that technology you can sell to agencies that are not in the position we are, that are going to that system. But at that point, technology gets a little long in the tooth, and they've got to, weigh their dollars against what they're getting also. So we hope when that time comes, we can surplus that and sell to another agency, would be the hopes.
Thank you. I do have one more question. I mean, it might be a little petty, I don't know, but.
No worries.
So, what I notice a lot, and I've never been a police officer. I was in a different field of emergency services. When your guys go on meals or breaks or anything like that, why do they leave the vehicles running?
Well, the biggest reason is all their equipment, their mobile data terminal,
Right.
if they've got to go get in it, it literally shuts down and reboots the whole thing. So the live CAD system they have
Yeah.
is now rebooting, and they may need that system going to the next call, and their camera system, everything's rebooting. They leave those running to keep that whole system up and running.
Okay. A lot of people would ask me, and I was like, I actually don't know the answer to that
Right.
question.
And citizens often understand when it's
Yeah.
97 degrees or when it's 5 degrees.
Right.
But they don't understand it when it's 65 degrees and it's nice out.
Right.
It's simply to keep the system running. So you're not, when they in the shift and they shut it down, no worries. And they come back on shift, they've got time to boot that. But if they're just out for a break or dinner and they shut that whole system down, shut the car off and it shuts down, then it's got a reboot time to all that stuff. And we don't, especially our body camera system, which runs through that MDT, we don't want to not capture that stuff live as it's happening.
Yes, sir.
So we run those during those breaks.
Thank you.
Is the crossing guard taking a decrease in pay?
No, ma'am. I'm just basing that on what we paid this year. I think I had that number a little inflated last year.
Okay, cool. Anybody else on police? Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's move to fire. I believe it's page 15. Fire's budget pretty much stayed even in most categories. We have a few things coming up in the future that we're trying to tackle. We're looking at another fire engine that we're going to need to purchase, not in this year's budget. We're also looking at ways that we're going to try to the turnout gear and some of the equipment just keeps going up. And I'll let Chief talk more about it, but there are going to be a lot of asks in the future for the fire department. This budget is pretty straightforward. It is about the same as last year. Chief, you want to add to that?
I'll just take questions if you have them. We're kind of in the same boat as the police department. We did ask for extra personnel this year. That was the only thing really cut out of our budget for our ask were the additional personnel. I know we've got a fire truck on order right now. It's still scheduled for delivery sometimes the fall of 2026. It's been about a 3.5 year process, 3.5 year wait. So that's one of the things we have to start discussing is those wait times are not going down. So as unfortunately, boards are gonna have to vote on purchasing vehicles that they may not be in office to see. If they're running 3.5 years just to get an engine. Other trucks that are gonna need to be replaced soon, and we're gonna have to wait 3 years for them, so.
When do we pay for something that has a 3-year waiting list?
We pay for it on delivery. So
Okay.
we've been setting aside some funds for the one that's on order right now. I think we'll make a decision at that point whether we pay cash for it or we get a note on it. We'll make that decision at that time, but we've been putting away money for 2.5 years now. Is that right? Yeah.
What's the balance on that we owe in our escrow?
I've got about 800,000 sitting in a capital account. It's still general fund revenue money as far as on the books with the audit or the state. I've just been sliding it over. We'll make a decision on what's in the best interest of the city. A lot of it depends on interest rates. A lot of it depends on the economy. But
So you don't have a separate line item for just that vehicle, that apparatus?
well, it's not ready to be bought yet, so we don't need a line item until we're ready to buy it.
Well, because I've noticed on the past budgets that we've been budgeting for that apparatus, I was just thinking maybe we had a separate escrow account just for that alone, so that it doesn't go into a general fund.
No, it's just still general fund money. It's just been separated out of the general fund account we've been operating with. Yeah, we will have to, once the truck is ready and it's ready to be delivered, we will have done our due diligence and know what's in the best interest of the city on how to purchase that vehicle, whether it be write a check or take out a capital outlay note. But they're not cheap, as you know.
I know.
How much are
What's
they?
the cost on that?
So this truck, the quote and what we signed, for it was 826. The same exact truck that we bought, I mean, we made no different changes to it, was 425 and 18. And
sounds
they're-
familiar.
And if we bought it again today, it would probably be over 900.
Yeah,
They're just going up some.
thank you.
Is that fully functional, or you still got to add
No,
everything to it?
we still would have to outfit it with about $150,000 worth of equipment.
And again, that'll be in fiscal year 27 budget.
Do you feel like you have everything that you need to run this police department with this budget?
Yes, that's a kind of a loaded question. Most of us are not going to say no. Like we made the decision, talking with the city manager, based on revenues, we need more people. We don't meet any of the NFPA requirements currently for staffing. We are getting closer. Every year that we add people, we are getting closer to meeting those standards. Currently, we do not. We never have, to be honest, since we've been in the fire business. But we are getting closer. We are bringing up the new temporary station in anticipation of the new station getting built. Probably everything will be fully functional out there at the first of this budget year. We're ready. We're waiting on the county to get some things done, but we're ready to operate right now out of it, but we're still waiting for them to tie up some loose ends that they have on their side.
No, it's great to see that coming to fruition, though. Thank you for leading us through that.
It'll really drop response times on that end of town, which is great. It's what we always look for. And not just for fires, but medical emergencies are almost, if somebody in cardiac arrest, if we can get to them in a minute over the 13-minute drive out there now, I mean, we have a chance of saving their life. But 13 minutes being down, it's hard to get somebody back.
How far are we from those standards on the personnel front?
So we're still accommodation department because we have one volunteer left. He's been on the rolls. He stays active with us, which is great. But as a combination department, we need to put 10 people on scene on a structure fire. That's the NFPA standard for a combination department. If we were fully career, the standard's 16 on scene on the first alarm.
So is it keeping that one volunteer allows us to have that?
Well, we're not doing it for that. It's totally up to him. He can volunteer as long as he wants. He keeps those certifications up. He comes and helps us on fires. He does his training, so we're not going to get rid of him. But it is a benefit to us from that standard point. We still need more people on scene, whether we're combination or not.
Are those numbers based off population size, or?
They are not. They're based on fire ground tactics.
Okay.
All the things that you have to get done on a fire ground, so that's what they base them on. But again, we're getting closer every time. Like on a fully staffed day with our admin there during the day, we're going to get 9 on scene for sure. So we're that 10, 11 point is where we want to be. But
So
with people off, we have 2 spots for someone to be off each day. We have 8 personnel on shift right now, scheduled or assigned to each shift. But there could be 2 people off either on Kelly Day or on AVAL time.
If we eclipse that standard, is there anything that takes place as far as changes, or is it just a thumbs up?
It's just great. I mean, it's great for the citizens.
Yeah.
And we're gonna be on scene.
It doesn't
faster.
unlock more opportunities for grants or anything like
Does
that?
not. And that's some of our justification for some of the grants we've been writing, is trying to meet the NFPA standards. So that's what we're always pushing for. I think the last big grant we got from the feds was to meet an NFPA standard, and there's an NFPA standard that says 4 people on an engine company. So that's when we went from 2 people on shift to 4 people. We got that grant to be able to increase our staffing, but that was back in 2014, Tom. Yeah.
The personnel that you were, in an ideal world, that you wanted to hire on this budget, is that just simply in preparation for the proper staffing that will be needed for the next station when that's completed, or?
part of it, again, we're just trying to get closer to that standard. That would put us with 9 on shift and admin during the day. During the day, we're going to put 10 people on a structure fire call. So that's kind of what we're looking for to get to that point. But again, it's all that once we get in the station, I want to have to come and ask you guys for 12 people to staff it. If we can ease into it, it's always easier on the budget.
So that was,
to
so
do
that, I'm glad you mentioned that, because that was my next point. So with not making the additional hires that you're looking to make this year, what would that would just roll over to next year, that you would
Yeah.
probably be looking at?
And I think talking with the city manager, an amended budget could be an opportunity to hire 3 more if revenues are spike as suspected. But, you know, we didn't want to take that opportunity or that chance that they may not. You know, if they stay flat, then we've hired 3 people and got to figure out some way to pay them, because once you hire them, it's not just paying them that year, it's every year. So
Yeah.
just try to do that, like, again, in anticipation. It's not that we don't need them right now. I mean, we could definitely use them, especially splitting our staff between 2 stations would be super helpful. But again, we understand if you don't have the revenue, you can't pay for things. So
Sure.
pump the brakes and see what we can get with the amended budget. And if not, we'll put them in again for next year and see how it goes.
The anticipated completion of, I don't even think we have a date, but do we have any idea of roughly when that fire station will be completed?
Again, this is kind of a project that's kind of on hold. It's something that the city really needs. The last facility that was built it was in 2010 at the old fire station. So, you know, you're looking back, we have had 0 facilities since then. And then I guess City Hall here, what was City Hall, 2002? Or, so, you know, everybody's busting at the seams. We need some facilities, but at the same time, it's also revenue driven. So, you know, we really are anticipating, I don't know if any of y'all had a chance to look at the overlay, and thank you for asking Ethan to do that, Commissioner Buffalini. But if you haven't had a chance to look at it, it just dawned on me, because this is my hometown and grew up here, but you look down at what Fairview's going to look like in the future, and it's like wild. So anyway, if you get a chance to look at it, I just know it's not a question of if, it's when. You know, it's you know what one type of revenue, one type of project brings in, and then you see 10 more right down the road, and so you're like, yeah, it's coming. It's just, you know, whether it's the economy based on the last presidential election, or people are just, you know, worried about that, you know, not going to, you know, Walmart as much, or whatever. I don't know, but it's just I just feel very optimistic in the growth trajectory of the city, but I also am committed to not overextending the city before we're ready. But that's to go back. Where we are on that is I'm in conversations with the USDA, which is the best opportunity to procure funds for facilities. We can get a much better rate. It's really the only benefit for rural communities, and we're still considered rural. So, you know, I want to take advantage of that. It's about a 2% lower rate than you would get. So, but at the same time, you have to pay for be able to make the note. So that's kind of where we are. As we build, I would love to see enough in the black that I can say, board, this is where the money's going to come from to pay this note. So that's kind of where we are. We're just kind of just trying to provide the best service we can with where we are at the moment.
And with the increase in population and neighborhoods, our ISO rating is directly related to an additional fire station, correct?
Correct. Yes, with our increase in footprint. There's a lot of things that go into it, our response time, our apparatus responding. Our ISO rating right now is based that we can get 2 pumpers and a ladder to a structure fire, residential structure fire. We have demonstrated that we could do that. Fully staffed, we can previously. Now that we've got the staff on right now, we can still do that. So we never want to go backwards. That's the thing. But I don't think there's anything that we're doing that would make our ISO rating go up where it would cost the citizens more money for their insurance. I think adding the new station and new personnel can only improve that rating.
The line item for fire hydrants, do we add fire hydrants, or what is that exactly for?
So we attempt to, Sean, the fire marshal, and I, we kind of survey the city and we look for places that we don't have hydrants. A lot of these hydrant systems were put in back when the city owned the water department, and we were much more rural than we are now. So out on 96, we've got a lot of areas out there that aren't covered by fire hydrants, which is problematic. All the new neighborhoods and the new developments, we have fire hydrants every 500 feet. We've adopted that into code. So anything new, we are covered. The 9,000 we started putting in there a few years ago was for us to identify places that don't have hydrants that are problematic for us, and then we basically pay the water department to put one in either while they're doing something else or just come in and do it. But it's hard.
That was my question, because I was like, doesn't Dixon Water put in the fire hydrants? So
They charge us for them.
Okay.
They won't just add them unless there's a new development going on. The developer is responsible for putting in new hydrants. But on these areas that we don't have any development in, but we have houses that were never really covered, part of your ISO rating is how many structures you have that aren't, like your insurance is based on if you don't have a fire department that can respond in an adequate amount of time, are you within 1,000 feet of a fire hydrant? We have a lot of homes out on 96 that aren't because that infrastructure just wasn't there. So some of the older areas, those are the ones we're trying to address and maybe do a couple fire hydrants each year in those areas.
Chief, how often do we install those or ask for those to be installed?
We try every year. It's all based on Dixon Water and their availability. Now, we've had success when they were working in the area already. The hardest part is if they're not doing any work is getting them scheduled to do that, because for them to come out and put in one hydrant if they're not already working on a line drives the cost up, and it's not really beneficial to them. They'd rather be servicing what they've already got. So we try to schedule with them, and again, it's based on their availability. We can identify the areas, but it's still based on if they can get to it. Our Public Works Department isn't allowed to go in and just tap into their lines and put them in. I'm sure Todd and his guys could probably, they have the skill and stuff to do that, but I don't think Dixon Water would allow them to do it.
If the AED replacements, how often do they be replaced?
Part of our issue with the AEDs aren't that AEDs, they have a lifespan like anything else. We try to replace them about every 5 years. We carry one on each truck, just for, the different medical calls that we run. It's also for fire ground. If we had a guy that went into cardiac arrest, we can help there. But we try to keep them on a rotation where we're replacing a couple of them every year to keep that going. Some of our older ones, we started having problems finding replacement batteries because they upgraded the technology. So we ran into problems getting batteries for the older ones, so we had to start replacing those. We replaced a couple 2 years ago, so now this is just another cycle to replace a couple of them.
Does police have AEDs on their vehicles as well?
No, sir.
Okay.
We asked the hospital several years ago, do a grant to issue those to us. Bud Nelson helped us out with that. Same situation. The lifespan of them, the batteries We have a few that's still working. They'll grab one on a shift, but they're not all cars.
Thank you. How much is an E AED?
About $5,000. We don't run tapes on them or anything. They have some that are higher end that you can run a tape on it. You can see the heart rhythm and stuff. But we don't need those. We just need somebody's heart to start again.
Right.
About $5,000 a pop.
Any other questions for fire? Okay, thank you. We'll move on to Public Works. Let's go to administration. Okay. I was just going in order. That's all right. We can do it any way you want.
Yeah, these three departments, like I said, concentrated about 76 of the percent of the money going out. So page number 6.
Tom, what is, I guess it's object number 216, was that Placer AI? That's $15,000. What is that?
That is an AI system that we've been looking at for the last 2.5 years. It's based off cellular data. We feel like it can be used by multiple departments, especially planning, in areas of economic development, in areas of, I tell you, one of the biggest reasons it jumped out at me is recently was when everybody's looking at these traffic studies, and you can set these up and do, it can monitor the traffic in certain areas. And so, if before we go out and spend $30,000 on a traffic study, we could run some preliminary numbers with this and go, yeah, we think we do have the traffic here, and go. It can also be used. I'm gonna hand out I've got a handout I'm gonna give you.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I mean, what is it? Is it a way to track data? What does it do?
Let me hand these out, and then I'll go into further detail.
Thank you.
You turn to page 5. And we are going to have them come out before we would go live and just have them do a demonstration. I've watched 3. Carol's watched a couple. Ethan's watched it. We feel like it would be very, very beneficial in a lot of things we do. Sorry. But if you, like I say, if you have this retail analysts and recruitment, if you have a certain business that's wondering if will I have the opportunity to be successful in this area, they have data that based on your demographics, it gives you a percentage of whether or not you'll be successful. And they base this on data they have nationwide, what has worked in other places. The event analysis, I think, will be very beneficial, looking and seeing who exactly is attending our events. Who is, where are they coming from? How many are locals? How many are out of town? Optimize, it's you can market your events better with it because you've got data to back some of the things you're saying. Also, I don't know about the revenues, but we're also amping up for grant writing. You can provide demographic reports that will enhance or better give you better chances for grant funding.
Tom, how is this data being captured? Like, how are they?
They have got
Cell phone?
it's cellular data, and they have got I believe they have the only contract to use this data. And Patty, is
Real-time data from your cell phone, so they can pretty much tell us right now where the majority of the people are coming from that shop at our Walmart. But one of the biggest things, as Tom said, we see it could really be used for grant, but also we had a incident a while back where some of the board was questioning a traffic study. Well, we could use this data we can pin it real time, tell us at what time of day this range, if that study is accurate or not, or close. I mean, not that the engineer is giving the best data, but we could pull it in and tell us who's passing through. So it's a tool that we can use. I have a lot of, developers that, like the child care, they want the data of how many people in this range, with like the 20-mile range or whatever. And so they can pretty much tell us from that daycare how many people, under the age of 5 live in this range. Now, as of right now, there's systems like Esri, but they're doing it off of census, so it's not accurate, 100%. So this would give us, like, as far as our growth that we've seen, if it's not matching what the census is saying, we can get a better idea of, real-time data.
So, my red-blooded heart has some questions on how granular does this get? I mean, to me, it seems a little like, are we literally tracking our citizens? That seems a little inappropriate.
I mean, not really.
Kind of sounds like it.
it's Big Brother, but it everything is guaranteed privacy.
Well, yeah, until it's not.
But
From what I've seen, it does not get as granular as like Chris McDonald is here going to here. But like
They'd have my cell phone tracking it.
call someone on your phone that says Ethan Greer from Fairview, Tennessee, track you based
So,
Ethan, can you say that
Humphreys is-
into a microphone,
Chief
please?
Humphreys has walked out, but I think he would attest to the difficulty of getting a cell phone provider to cough up the information that my phone has in it. It just seems a little invasive to me, off the cuff.
It's not technically tracking like your exact person. So how your cell phone has a registered number to a city, you set up a geofence around a particular location. So say if you set up a geofence around City Hall, every time that a device crossed that geofence line, you would be tracked of X device from City of Fairview crossed into this box at this time, and then it crossed out of this box. This data is already being captured and utilized by Placer AI. Multiple developers across the board are utilizing this data. Multiple cities are utilizing this data to help benefit their economic development. We see a benefit in planning and codes to be able to utilize it. For example, like Ms. Carroll stated, with several of the traffic studies where we may have a disagreement of what reality exists on some of our roads versus what an engineer might say exists on some of our roads. And we'll be able to demonstrate through a statistical analysis of exactly where the traffic is going so that we can dispute some of the engineering studies with actual data. And I think that would be very beneficial for us to help get some roadway improvements with some developments. And then for new developments that come in and meet with us, you know, they're looking for all kinds of statistical, demographic information, financial ability, all different kinds of information that they seek. And this allows us to pool that all in one platform. Multiple developers are using this. I mean, we've met with some people who are using it for themselves, placing businesses throughout the U.S. And so us having that ability to kind of better market ourselves and better attract popular brands that you would well recognize.
I'll concede that there's probably all sorts of benefits that do come from having that data. I just would like to have deeper conversations to be reassured that you're not giving up anything in order to gain that information. I mean, if we're talking about event data that you can tell where people are coming from to get to our events, that by default tells me that it's more than just a ping. It's telling you, well, this person's from Dixon, so they know a little bit more than just
Well, it'd be like
count.
your cell phone says Fairview, Tennessee. If I go to
Right.
Dixon,
Like I
they-
said,
they
I
would
get the
capture that
benefits of having that
Fairview
data, but
person went to Dixon.
there's a double side to every coin, or it's two sides to every coin, and I just would like to be reassured by the Placer AI company, which I'm sure they have a very sharp way of explaining everything, no doubt.
For sure.
But in the world of information sharing and data sharing, where it oftentimes gets abused and leaked and shared, I would just like to proceed with caution, if that's
Yeah, I mean, I don't want them to give me reassurances because they're going to have to convince me.
correct. That's what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, we need a workshop. The number of questions in my head alone, I can imagine the board. I don't think this is something that we can even say is worth talking about anymore tonight.
I would state that it's not that we are creating data. We are tapping into the system that already has
I understand,
the data.
yeah.
And so we're not creating or imposing anything else onto the general population. It is just tapping into a data resource that exists to
We're contributing to
gain-
it, though.
to
So
gain-
those
We're contributing
geofences-
to it every day. I mean, they can put up somebody who doesn't operate within the city of Fairview could put up a geofence around Bowie Nature Park and track how many people come in and out and where they come from and to, or if their next stop is Walmart after Bowie. There's a lot of different opportunities that they can do. We are not able to tap into that unless we're
I'm just curious how accurate it's going to be
purchasing the
because
software.
people carry multiple phones, multiple devices, laptops, iPads, all sorts of things with cellular IP addresses. So I'm just saying how accurate are those numbers? But that's for a workshop for this
that would be best
situation.
answered by
Yeah.
Pace.
And so which he's willing to do, but this is the first step, like y'all would have to approve it. It would require a contract. So this is just the first step of, yes, this could be in the budget. So before that goes on, just to let you know, and he'll give you the whole list, but Dixon already has it, Spring Hill already has it. There's a lot of other Middle Tennessee, well, really across Tennessee, that are already using this system. I've already talked to Spring Hill and asked them, like, how's the different ways they've used it. We've kind of researched it. So, but he will do a workshop, whatever you need. And so this is not a final decision because there will be a contract that would have to be signed. So it's just budgeting for if possible. But we did find, I mean, I grabbed Ethan, got him in. Ben and Tom have listened even before I came on board. It's impressive. I know Commissioner Roberts knows a lot about AI. We discussed that when we attended a meeting in the county. There's amazing stuff they're doing it. I get the safety concerns. We probably can't answer. He's a better person to answer those questions. But they're pulling data that's already there. This is not, we're already being, and the city has already used for the 3rd of July when they do the aerial, the drone, and they fly over and they do counts. We've referred to those counts. So it's the same concept. It's just doing that
Is that not
geofence.
just head counts, that it's just image counting? I mean, that's a little different, but I understand what you're saying.
Well, anyway, any other questions too, I can, try to answer or get you on a Zoom meeting or, individually, so.
Yeah, it would have to have a board approval for the mayor to sign the contract, and we would have a workshop, set everything up, and, even if we put it in the budget, there's still other things that have to happen before we put it into place, and we spend the money, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I would say before we go far down the road, I mean, this is, what you've given us is very helpful, and I appreciate it. Was it created by the vendor itself?
Came from the website and information given. I don't see, I don't see exactly what y'all are seeing.
Well, just to give a precursor, before I would be interested in a workshop or going further down this road, I'd like to see something that the city manager and the economic development officer and I guess our city planner also propose as far as what the return on the investment is for this, how you plan to use it. That's giving evidence-based reasons why we would spend $15,000 and start tapping into cellular data, and then also what exactly the data is that's collected and the security behind it. And we would need that for the workshop, because the workshop would have to go rather quickly. So these are just the things right off the top of my head. Because this is just a sales pitch from them. Of course, they're going to sound good. But I think we need to have those.
Perfect. We will, and if we can get it done, like I said, it's not something, if you approve this budget, we still have to have the contract signed. So it's even if you approve the budget, we'll try to get it set up between now and the second reading, if at all possible. And he said he thinks he can just zoom in. So we'll see if we can get something set up between now and then. If not, we'll get it done shortly, or definitely right before we sign any papers, for sure.
Going down the line, you have line item 236, community relations. What is that line item specifically?
That is a line item that Richard uses quite often when he's doing things in the community. Something that maybe if we do something to try to promote the city, or if he has to do something maybe with a school or an organization or something where we're trying to build community relations. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Is there a specific cause for the miscellaneous community events to drop by 8,000, or is that just an adjustment to costs from last year that we didn't need that in the budget to be 23,000?
What was that number again?
Sorry, 325. Page 6.
Yes, we did have combined with the park program events, and so we split those out. So that 8,000 came out of the general fund. We moved it into the parks.
Tom, line 275 for promotional materials went up from 500 to 3,000.
Yes, we dropped that down real far. This is if I believe if we get, sometimes we get T-shirts or mugs or stuff that we can hand out to somebody that's visiting, or that it's just that is another Richard line item. And if I've not provided a great answer, I will make sure to have him here. But that's mainly just promoting the city items. Yes.
Are you saying that this is just bringing it back up to where it was before, that it dropped
Yes,
before, and you're bringing
yes.
it back to previous? Okay, cool.
Yes.
Thank you. I didn't know if we had some big promo in store that we should get excited about.
We're always promoting. Hey, always stay excited, Commissioner Roberts.
To promote our city. So line item 304, a year ago, County Mayor Rogers Anderson and I had a sit-down. We were looking at well over $200,000 for Williams County Dispatch on our part. And is it what we're going to see, that it's only going to go up 6,396?
Yes, ma'am. This is the number that they provided.
Awesome.
Provided me.
You happy with conversations with them and how that's going?
I think that increase is consistent with the cost of things, not double which way it was at.
I know that,
I think that is consistent with where we were paying, with our growth and stuff, our usage. We had that conversation when they pitched it to us. We felt that that was a comfortable number. It was not exaggerated like their first ask.
yes. I know last year it was well over 200,000.
Actually, you can take last year's number. The ask was double.
Yes, it was double. And I appreciate County Mayor Rogers Anderson. We have a great relationship, and he sat down and we discussed it, and he brought it down to 127,244. So seeing it only increase 6396, that's more in line. I'm excited about that. So, good job.
Item number 273, legal fees retainer, went up $5,000 to $115,000. Did we come close to that this year, that we needed more for the following fiscal year?
That was just I just felt like being a conservative, up 5,000. I think we're going to be right around that 110 range, but it was just I just wanted to be on the safe side.
I thought it was because our meetings are
Yeah.
Three-
it's 'cause
three
our
hours long.
meetings- Yeah, since you mentioned that, since our meetings go longer, we have to pay legal and our engineers more, so.
Thought I'd throw that in there.
We ask good questions. Hey, Tom, on page 7, under bond account expenditures, I don't even want to ask a specific question. Will you please just run down that list, please?
The City Hall upgrades, 70,000, ADA, bond, projects now, the 70,000, these are all just, I don't know, I think we'll come close to spending that, but we're gonna have this whole place just looked at, and anything that needs to be upgraded, we're gonna try to do a little, cleaning, make sure our gutters don't need to be replaced, just the maintenance. The ADA, we're getting, hopefully we're gonna do it in this budget, get these front doors, replaced with the automatic.
That'd be
button,
great.
And making sure the bathrooms are ADA and just making sure we're good here. We also may do a few other ADA projects at other facilities. I know we have a little bit of sidewalk work to do, but for the most part, it'll be on facilities. And these welcome signs, I think, is probably, we won't spend near this. So, but we might, I mean, I didn't know how much they would be. I did, but that's 3 signs, the 3 welcome signs, one on 100, one on 96, and the other one where Historical Village is. So we're going to be bringing you designs of, a couple of the options, and hopefully the input will be something the city can be proud of. I know everybody's, it's been multiple years now that everybody's ready for a change on the welcome signs.
Are there any other signs? I'm sorry. Okay. Are there any other, thank you. Are there any other signs that would go into that? Like, we've talked about a sign out in front of City Hall to maybe do communication about upcoming meetings and such, or maybe, I don't know, an upgrade to the park sign. Would those come out of the same line item?
It possibly could, but as of right now, they're not included. So it would be something we could discuss and do some research on and see what we wanted to do.
Because I was just looking at this for the 3 signs you budgeted $290. That's $97,000 a sign. That's a lot of money. That's 97. But so with that said, the infrastructure of the sign is actually good. The brick and all that is still good. We're just replacing the signage. Is that correct? Or we're demoing the entire thing?
I think we're looking at replacing the entire thing.
Is that necessary?
Well, it's been a while. I think the theme that we're wanting to present to y'all, and I know we're running short on time, but it's all going to have to come to you. It's going to be, this is what the board wants. But we're trying to have it look similar to some of the new things that are coming in. And it's hard. I don't really want to talk about it because you haven't even seen the renderings for Historical Village, and you haven't seen. But we're trying to match up with some of the stuff that's coming that you guys will see in the future, hopefully in the near future. But we've got some work to do. There's not been there's no design to hand to you right now.
And that'll be bid out as well, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Tom, on a prior page 6, item 278, Motorola System Maintenance Public Safety, we're budgeting $38,000. What is that for? I mean,
That's a contract with Motorola, their system. I'll have to look on the invoice and read it exactly detailed, but it's to keep the system going up. Chief, do you?
It's cumulative.
It's
The way to explain it is, even though we buy the radios and subscribe to that, they charge us a $38 per radio per month fee for all those radios Motorola does. Again, we had no choice in the matter because we want to be on the system. That's part of the system. So that's not paid to Williamson County or anything. That's paid directly to Motorola for that monthly fee for every one of those.
But each department isn't responsible for their own radios, or?
Well, the reason that it's in that line item like that is originally, the previous city manager did that as an administrative purchase and just did administrative on that because it spanned over multiple agencies. And it was one purchase. He just put it in an administrative line item to continue that tracking that expenditure.
Thank you.
It's supposed to have a future upgrade of the system that Motorola may have to. And even if you added, say you added radios to street department and things like that, instead of trying to break all those out, it stayed administrative so you could add as many departments as you wanted underneath that. It just so happens right now, police and fire are the only one that use it, but it has the ability to be expansive and move into other divisions. And so it's just a maintenance fee paid in one fund instead of 2.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so we have about 1 minute because we've got to transition everything over for the planning commission to start at 7. Is there anything that, just a last minute thought? We will have another workshop on Thursday for the budget at 5:30, again, before the Board of Commissioner meeting.
And if you don't mind, Mayor, just let everybody know, after the workshop Thursday, we've got 3 weeks before the second read. So I'm available department heads are available. We're not, it's not like, we go to this first read. It's not like the next week we got to have the second read. But now, the state really would love for us to have a budget passed before June 30th. Hopefully by June 5th we will, and we'll have a little bit of time. But I'm just saying, there's opportunity to get questions answered in between first and second read.
And
And
so
changes.
Tonight, these three departments were scheduled to be discussed. What is on the Thursday agenda? For
The
work
rest of the
session?
departments and the pay plan.
Pay plan and the rest of the departments.
We
Okay,
didn't hit
great.
Public Works or planning, so we'll do that.
Are we also able to come back and ask questions if we think about something different from here on?
About,
No questions.
yeah,
Okay, thank you. I just want to make sure.